Okay, so now let's take a look at what happens with amino acids after we absorb them into our bodies. Okay, most of our amino acids are going to go straight to our tissues for protein synthesis. Hopefully, you remember that proteins are made out of amino acids. So, we're going to take our individual amino acids into the cells, use them right away for protein synthesis. That's what's going to happen to most of the amino acids. The excess amino acids are converted to fat and then stored in adipocytes. Adipocytes are fat cells. Okay, so they're stored in our fat tissue. Is this an anabolic or catabolic process? Think about that for a second. Okay, hopefully you figured out that that's an anabolic process, right? We're taking individual amino acids and stringing them together to make proteins, or we're taking individual amino acids. There's some conversion in there, but we're making these larger molecules, these fat molecules out of that. So hopefully you figured that out. Okay, moving on. Let's take a look at the fate of fats in the fed state. Um, I just want to start by reminding you um, the sort of condition that our fats are in after we've absorbed them. So remember that they were synthesized into chylomicrons or packaged into chylomicrons by the cells in our intestinal wall. Then they entered our lymphatic system, which then drained into our bloodstream. Okay, so our starting point is these chylomicrons in our bloodstream. And the chylomicrons, hopefully you remember, contain full triglycerides in them. Okay. All right. So where do we go from there? We have our chylomicrons with triglycerides in them floating around in the bloodstream. From there, what we do is we break those triglycerides down. So we hydrolyze them into free fatty acids and glycerol. That is done by an enzyme called lipoprotein lipase. Sorry, lipoprotein lipase, which is on the endothelial cell wall. Okay. So we have our free fatty acids and glycerol. Okay. From there, we have two possible fates, as you can see by these arrows. Okay. One of those fates is that those free fatty acids and glycerol are going to, the free fatty acids and glycerol are going to go into the cells, into the tissues to be used right away for energy. Okay. The other fate, the excess free fatty acids and glycerol, are taken into fat cells, adipose cells, and resynthesized into triglycerides for storage. Okay, so it turns out that most of our fats are excess, so most of our ingested fat is stored. Okay, so that kind of wraps up our discussion of fed state metabolism. I want to draw your attention to this table from your book, which shows you the fates of our different nutrient types in fed state metabolism. It shows how we absorb, like the form that we absorb each of those nutrients in, and it shows you the fate of those nutrients in fed state metabolism, which I think I already said. I do want to point out that we have these little stars, these asterisks here, which indicate the main thing, like the primary fate. So the main thing that happens to each of these nutrient types in fed state metabolism.